Let's run you through the first starting order for the first final of the day. It's Junior Max in full effect. On the front row, it's Mike van Vugt and Colin Kerzani making it a Dutch front row. Then it's a Dutch second row, so it's a top four for the Netherlands with Robert de Haan, Chris Hanen. Then it's been the impressive James Wharton and Kobe Pauls on row 3. Row 4 will be Guilherme de Oliveira from Portugal. Alongside him will be Suleiman Zanfari from Morocco. Then it's Vilgot Edquist and Jan Pokos that rounds out the top 10. Ahead of Dante Rapagne, Herbert Andreas, Ralph Winkel, Danny van Dijk, Vincent France, Roderick Picker, Jamie Day, Mads Ries, Jules Castro, Gianni Andrisani, Linus Henson, Tuukka Taponen, Jerzy Spinkovits, Zen Rudenberg, Malfeo Dolson, Georgie Zwain, Stig Riechelt and Ollie Pilka, with Noel Degbol, Matis Malinovskis, Arturo Jean, Philip Norman, Samuli Meltsami and Vigol Hjorvard rounding out the 34-strong Junior Max grid that is shortly going into battle. This is when the adrenaline starts flowing for the drivers. This is when they know they've got to be at their best from the moment the lights go out, as both Van Vugt and Kerzani will now start to control the field, and they've done so very early indeed. They have come to a crawl even before the red-coned lines, where they have to be in formation. Now the tension is building. Now the anticipation is setting in. We're set to get underway for our first final race of the second round of the 2018 Rotax Max Euro Trophy season here in Kristianstad in Sweden amidst glorious Sunday sunshine. So they come round the final couple of corners and we're just seconds away from lights out and racing. Race director is saying please slow. They go into the tram lines, the revs rise, lights go out and we go right down into turn number 1. And it's nearly 2-3 abreast all the way through to the mid part of the top 10. So now it looks like there is a stricken cart already at the top of turn number 3 before we went green. So one of the 34 is already out and it looks like there has been a couple of changes. And I think, are my eyes deceiving me? I think James Wharton is now up into 3rd position. That's a great start from the Australian in this early going. So, leaders coming through. Van Vugt leads, de Haan in 2nd, Wharton in 3rd. I'm wondering if that is Kerzani now in 4th, having started from the front row, got jumped. That is the case. Kobe Pauls now up into 5th, ahead of Colin Kerzani. Chris Hanen now up into 4th. Zanvari, Edquist, de Oliveira and Ries. That rounds out your top 10. And Mads Ries started from 18th. So he got an absolute flyer at the start, did the Dane. So there's further changes for position. It looks like, I think I saw the 307, which is de Oliveira, or 327. I'm not too sure. Trying to keep an eye out of that from the commentary position. But just look how closely packed this field is. And just keeping an eye. Looks like Kobe Pauls is trying to force the issue with Chris Hanen. Goes up the inside of the Dutchman into the final corner. And it looks like Kerzani's trying to go with. And it's and he lets his countryman through back into 5th position. Thought I'm not going to chance it going into turn number 1. Meanwhile at the front of the field, Wharton is right on the back bumper of de Haan for 2nd. So the Australian is targeting more than just 3rd place as he goes up the inside into turn number 4. Brilliant move by the Aussie. Kobe Pauls, I think, might have also gone past as well. As and it looks like Hanen's there. So it looks like, I think de Haan has lost out big time there and he's trying to fight back. But no one's giving any quarter. There are points on offer. So it looks like de Haan has definitely fallen down a bit further. I think that looks like it's going to be 5th place for the 321, which it is, as Kobe Pauls is now in 3rd place. So change at the top. Van Voogd still leads, but it's Wharton in the 3:13 that's now second. Powell's third, Haanen fourth, De Haan down into fifth. Zanvari, Edqvist, De Oliveira and Ries have now moved up into 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th respectively. Kerzani now in the top 10, having started on the front row, so it hasn't been the greatest run for the 347, as both Van Voogd and Wharton are pulling away quite considerably. Meanwhile, Chris Haanen has got his target set on Corby Pauwels from Belgium. And De Haan is going with further down the order, Jamie Day, who started in 17th, now up into 15th position. And the cart that did not even start the race, that's a real disappointment for Roderick Picker, who started in 16th, did not even get to the start. Castro from Belgium up into 21st. Spinkovits now up into 19th. Norman and Malinovskis have got up into 27th, 28th. Hjorvard now up into 29th position. Meltsami's made up a couple of places. And there's been further changes with Edqvist and De Oliveira now up into 6th and 7th. Suleiman Zanvari now is down in 8th place. So Van Voogd has got a gap, well, was 7/10 of a second. I think James Wharton has got other ideas quite clearly, because he's hunting down the current championship leader, and he's taken another 10th out of him on the last lap. Corby Pauwels is also putting the foot to the floor here and took over 3/10 out of Chris Haanen, who's in 4th place. De Oliveira now gets past Edqvist. So the Portuguese driver also doing great work here. Showed that yesterday and is proving that today as well, as there's another change for position, as I think Edqvist and Mads Ries were battling away there. So Van Voogd continues to lead, but that gap between himself and James Wharton is now down, I think, considerably less than 6/10 of a second. I'm wondering if Wharton has really stolen a march, and I think it's going to be half that, maybe even less, when we go across the start-finish line. Leaders come around the final corner, and he's taken another 10th out of Van Voogd, and he's just done a 54.044. But the driver that is posting the fastest lap times at the moment is Portugal's De Oliveira in 6th, who's only half a second exactly off of Robert De Haan. That's the battle for 5th place. So incredible action, and we have 5 minutes plus an additional lap left to go in this first of 6 final races today for the second round of the 2018 Rotax Max Euro Trophy season here in Kristianstad, with Mike Van Voogd continuing to lead, but there is still time. There is still time on the board, as De Haan is closing on Haanen, as is De Oliveira coming with them. The gap has slightly extended in Van Voogd's favour to just over 5.5 tenths. Pauwels is about a second and a half adrift, but was the slowest out of the top 3 last time around, as Haanen is fending off Robert De Haan. And then we'll have De Oliveira, Edqvist and Ries in close proximity. A little bit further down the order, it is still very tight in terms of driver positioning, as there's been some good switchback manoeuvres going into turn 5 and into turn 6 and 7, as there's nearly 3 wide a little bit further down the order. But it looks like Haanen is coming under pressure right now, and looks like De Oliveira went up the inside of De Haan right there and then on the final corner. Nice clean work by the Portuguese. So De Oliveira hits the top 5, having started in 7th. Pilker up into 18th, Spinkvits up into 16th, Van Dijk 15th. Vincent France in the 330s now up into 19th position. So leaders still comfortably away from, so that's Mike van Voort from the Netherlands, James Wharton from Australia. Then it's Belgium's Gobby Pauwels, Chris Hanen, Guilherme de Oliveira, Robert de Haan, Edqvist, Mads Ries, Colin Kerzani now back up into 9th place, having passed Suleiman Zanfari in the number 352. As looks like there's another change, I think, and I think, yes, it is. Is that happened? Yes, Chris Hanen has dropped down significantly there. And Hanen has dropped all the way down to 11th position, which has promoted de Oliveira, Edqvist, de Haan, Ries, Kerzani, Zanfari, and Herbert Andreas, who now completes the top 10. So it's not only Colin Kerzani that's had his fair share of troubles, it's also Chris Hanen too. So I'm just wondering, was there contact that might have unsettled him? Not too sure. So had no sort of judgments yet as to whether there may have been might have been a racing incident or maybe the slightest amount of contact. Didn't quite catch it from my commentary position, or unless Hanen was just pushed, or Hanen just ended up going very wide, having been pretty much unsighted by de Oliveira, who's shown some good overtaking and some good pace as well. So at the front of the field, it is still Mike van Voort from the Netherlands, leading from James Wharton from Australia, Gobby Pauwels, Guilherme de Oliveira, Wilgot Edqvist, Mads Ries, Robert de Haan, Colin Kerzani, Suleiman Zanfari, and Herbert Andreas now completing the top 10. And it looks like, I don't think Chris Hanen is taking any further part in this race. So whether there may have been an issue with the kart, not too sure, but that means that Chris Hanen is now showing up in 32nd position. So it looks like, unfortunately, that Chris Hanen is no longer taking any part in this race. So meanwhile, while the leaders are moving away, the battle behind for what is 4th onwards is really heating up. I think Guilherme de Oliveira has got a comfortable gap ahead of himself and Wilgot Edqvist. So Van Voort continues to lead. The gap has stayed the same pretty much, 0.565 of a second between him and James Wharton. Pauwels 3rd, de Oliveira 4th, Edqvist 5th, Mads Ries. Oh, and it looks like we have, oh no, oh my goodness, Guilherme de Oliveira is going to get a 5-second time penalty. Reference the front fairing on his kart. So the Portuguese driver has got a 5-second time penalty, but that means he still is currently running. So yep, so time penalty has been awarded to Guilherme de Oliveira from Portugal. As the leaders come now, it's now one, I think we have the final lap board out, and it is still Mike van Voort from the Netherlands who is going to extend his championship lead quite considerably at the end of this race. And he's just a few corners away. They go through into turn 4 for the final time, with James Wharton having kept him very, very honest, I must admit. And with the and with regards to the results, now it looks like actually so there is a time penalty given to de Oliveira apparently for pushing, as the leaders come around the final corner, and it's going to be a first win of the day for Mike van Voort from the Netherlands, who takes it ahead of James Wharton from Australia, with Kobe Pauls from Belgium, making it a truly international top three here in Sweden. Guilherme de Oliveira takes fourth ahead of Vilgot Edqvist. Mads Ries has flown through the field in this one. He started in 18th. He finished in 6th position. Robert de Haan started on the second row. The Dutchman finishes in 7th ahead of Colin Kerzani, who started on the front row. Zanvari in the 352 was 9th ahead of Hebert Andreas, with ahead of Pokos, Day, Spinkwitz, Winkel, Van Dijk, Rapagne, Pilker, Rudenberg, France, Tappanen. Well, actually, there has been a significant shift, because Guilherme de Oliveira will have finished in the points, but it's not 4th, it is 12th, following the 5-second penalty. So it's Van Vogt, Wharton, Pauls, Edqvist, Ries, de Haan, Kerzani, Zanvari, Andreas, Pokos, Day, de Oliveira, Spinkwitz, Winkel, Van Dijk, Rapagne, Pilker, Rudenberg, France, Tappanen, Castro, Andrisani, Henson, Adolfsson, Hjorvard, Denbol, Malinovskis, Matsami, Rojan, Norman, Zuen, Rielt. Haanen, I think, might have retired as a result of that pushing contact, and Roderick Picker did not even see the start of the race.